Nerd Church here. In my previous Lent 101 videos, I've occasionally referred to making these videos in part for people whose liturgical traditions are starting to flirt with Lent and Holy Week and other things, and who might want to know what they're getting into. And I was kind of being cute and funny about that because I grew up in Mesa, Arizona, in a heavily Mormon neighborhood. So I'm used to being able to make those like very subtle allusions to the LDS church with my LDS friends and have them understand that this is me as a Catholic poking gentle fun at them without getting weird about it, in the same way that they'll like make fun of me for like believing all the weird things that they know Catholics believe, and for drinking and having tea and coffee. Well, I don't drink coffee, but whatever. So I realize, though, that YouTube is not the American Southwest, so I want to be really clear about why we're doing the Lent 101 series. Like I said, I'm aware that the LDS Church has started experimenting with, Lent, Holy Week, and other traditions that have not been part of their religious practice in the past. And frankly, as somebody who grew up Catholic in a heavily Mormon area in the 1980s, that kind of weirds me out. Because when I moved here in second grade, one of the first things that I learned was that asking someone, "Oh, what are you giving up for Lent?" wasn't just like a normal interaction that you would have with people like it was in my school back in Indiana. I didn't go to Catholic school. Well, I went to Catholic school for first grade, but that was it. But what are you giving up for Lent, to my second grade brain, was a pretty normal question. The kids that I knew would greet that question with either blank stares or like outright like suspicion and hostility, like they thought maybe I was trying to proselytize. The new kid was trying to proselytize. So like by the time I was out of second grade, I had completely and totally understood that there's like some things that y'all just don't do. And, that's fine. That's cool. There's a lot of things that y'all do that I don't do as a Catholic that I don't really have a problem with. It's just not my thing. But, I try to keep up on what's going on in the LDS Church, at least in general terms, because not because I'm some weird, like, anti-Mormon activist who's, like, keeping an eye on things, but because these are people in my community who are being affected by what's going on. So I feel like it's my job to, know who the current prophet is, to know about, policy changes, like, the age for missionaries changes. Girls can go on I shouldn't say girls, young women can go on missionary trips now, which was something that was a really big deal when I was a teenager, and I knew some girls who were like genuinely sad that they might not get to go on a mission because at that time the rules were different. So when I heard that y'all were getting ready to like start playing with Holy Week and start playing with Lent and start trying to figure out, like, is this something that is this something that the LDS Church actually wants to do? Yes, I know that some of y'all are okay with Mormon. When I was growing up, you did not call someone a Mormon to their face. Like, that was fighting words. We called you Mormons, but we called you Mormons behind your backs. So that's my frame of reference. That's why I use LDS. So my point is that I'm making this Lent 101 video series not to poke fun at Mormons, not to make fun of y'all, but I'm doing it out of love and out of a desire and out of a genuine desire for ecumenical dialogue. And also because I think that maybe for once you guys are going to enjoy the experience of looking at the weird stuff that goes on in somebody else's religion and getting to go, you do that? Really? You like put weird stuff on your head and do these like ceremonies and make public professions of vows and walk 10 miles and fast and have weird things around your neck that identify you as a member of your religion. I remember CTR rings. I remember always looking at somebody's hand so you knew that, you shouldn't offer them a glass of something that had caffeine in it because that was the norm when I was a kid. And, so I'm just trying to make sure that whether the LDS Church goes all in on Holy Week or whether the LDS Church decides, you know what, we're just going to like dig deep into our like weird, and I'm using weird in the positive sense, right? Into our own weird, unique, peculiar beliefs. And we're going to be a peculiar people. That's beautiful, and I love that for you. But I want you to understand what you're taking in and what you're rejecting, and to make intelligent, informed beliefs about those practices and their utility that are being explained to you from someone who comes from a faith tradition that, well, I mean, okay, let's be real. The Catholic Church invented Easter. We invented Lent. We invented Holy Week. And we invented those practices because over the course of centuries, we found them to be meaningful and fruitful and spiritually and personally healthy. So, I mean, I don't want you guys to stop being you, but, maybe Lent isn't the worst thing in the world. And maybe Holy Week is something that you guys can do. And, the fact that you're having like that you're basically canceling Easter because of general conference is like, I mean, it feels weird to me. Like, I would be glad to explain to anyone why thinking that General Conference is more important than Easter is something that causes a lot of Catholics to go like, yeah, I'm not entirely sure we're going to believe that they're Christians. Okay, one last thing I want to do before I close. No, actually, I'm going to make that a separate video because I'm talking to my fellow Catholics and not to y'all. Because from me to you, Catholic, Catholic to LDS, Papist to Mormon, it's all love.